Okay, thank you. Thank you for everyone coming out tonight. Thank you, Democratic Club, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. As we all know, the last few months have been a little tense and a little depressing and roller coaster of emotions, and it's okay. That's completely okay. But just don't stay in that place. We got to come out of it and realize that we have work to do. And it's always better to do things in groups. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is that resistance. It is not futile, it is required. So, next slide, please. So, activism, advocacy, social justice, human rights work, it all means different things to different people. So, first thing that we want to do before we jump in and make plans and develop strategies is to first of all take a second and trust yourself. Trust is a big part of doing advocacy or activism work. You have to be able to not only trust yourself, but trust the people that you're working alongside. But start by trusting yourself. Trust that your voice is valuable. Your voice is important and needs to be heard. And then once you have that nice solid core belief in yourself, then that's when you go out and you find your people and you trust the people that are in your circle. Where do we find these people? Where do we find people? This is going to be interactive tonight. Sorry, I should have told you. You're not going to be able to take a nap. You're going to just so where do we find our like-minded people?
Family.
Family's a great place to start.
No. Some. Sorry. I hear you.
My family's a great place to start.
My bad. Sorry.
Her family.
Where else?
Friends.
Here.
Meetings and rallies.
Okay. Did you know, because I recently did a little side project and wanted to kind of tally up all the different advocacy groups in Carroll County. I'm at about 22, I think, or 23 at this point, and I'm talking like-minded, progressive, and I think that's amazing. So what we can do is find our niche, like find the affinity group that speaks to you. If LGBTQ rights are your thing, PFLAG, excellent resource to work in that area. If civil rights are your thing, we're so fortunate to have a Carroll County chapter of the NAACP. I don't think Mr. Morris is here tonight, but the excellent resource to join and find out what you can do on that avenue. So once you find all your people, now you have to figure out, okay, what am I comfortable doing? But the good news is, when we're working in advocacy work, there is not a one-size-fit-all manner of doing it. So if you're somebody that loves to be out front, you don't mind marching, speaking at protests, going and lobbying our elected officials, there is a place for you. If that's not your vibe, you're more of somebody that likes to do emails or make phone calls and things of that nature, or use your pocketbook and donate to the places that matter to you. That's your thing too, because there's no right answer. It's whatever you're comfortable doing, just do it. And that's all there is to getting started, is just find what makes you most comfortable and then do it. So, but a big part of this is staying in touch. I know through COVID, a lot of us did get very reliant on virtual meetings and whatnot. But there really is a lot to be said for these types of in-person meetings. I just think you can't connect with people as well through a screen. So how do you stay in touch, besides like a meeting like this tonight? How do you stay in touch with the people that you're working with, like-minded people?
Email.
Email is good?
Phone calls.
I'm sorry?
Phone calls.
Phone calls are great.
Encrypted messaging?
Awesome. I'm just going to share with you, I mean, we're really fortunate here in Carroll County to have a lot of great book clubs too. Carroll County Public Library has several, and then there's an organization called Next Chapter. Carol, I don't know if any of you heard of that. It is a partnership between, I want to make sure I get everybody, the Carroll Citizens for Racial Equity, PFLAG, St. Paul's, and Rudolph Girls. And you can find them on Facebook, I believe, but they're going to do a spring book club, and they're going to be reading George M. Wilson's Flamboyance. And I can't wait to read this, because it is about a queer black artist during the Harlem Renaissance. So it ticks a lot of boxes, and he's an excellent author. So if you just check out Next Chapter on Facebook, look them up, and then pick up a copy of that book at Rudolph Girls, and then we'll all hang out in the spring sometime and discuss it. Okay, so next slide, please. Oh, one thing I forgot is don't isolate yourself. That was the last bullet point on that. The only people that win when we isolate ourselves are extremists. So just push yourself if you have to and get out there and do what needs to be done. So now the next slide, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of resistance. This was actually something I found from the author Daniel Hunter. He's an activist, he's an author of Training for Change and founder of Choose Democracy. So he came up with these 4, he calls them paths of resistance. So we're going to go through each of these one by one and have a discussion on how we get to move through these and have our voices heard. So next screen. First one is protect people. So what we're doing now is we're looking out into our community, out into our world, and identifying which people need the most protection at this point in time. So who wants to give me, what's a group of people that needs protection right now?
Immigrants, the LGBTQ community.
Excellent. Who else?
Any minority.
Minorities,
Women.
federal employees, and then how about our low-income families?
VA veterans.
Veterans, thank you. Veterans, I mean, I think they probably feel the most fleeced out of anybody right about now. So, I know you already know this, but if you're not in one of those groups, then your job is to protect them. And even if you're in one of those groups, say you're a member of the LGBTQ community, if you have it in you to protect another group, that's what you do. And that's what building community is all about, is finding these connections and standing up for each other so that nobody ever has to stand by themselves. So how do we protect them? Anybody?
Through lawsuits in one way, like contributing to ACLU. Democracy Forward is a group they've filed at least 60 lawsuits so far, some of which are helping civil servants, like saying that the dismissal of the probationary employees is illegal, that they've ruled that.
Okay, can everyone hear, or should we be using the microphone?
Well, you could please just repeat what they say.
Oh.
If you can parrot what they say.
There we go.
Parrot what they say.
Okay.
Corinne, do you want me to, can I help you with that?
Okay. Contributing for the lawsuits like ACLU and Democracy Forward has filed at least 60 lawsuits, including some that have have resulted in the ruling that the dismissal of the probationary employees for the civil servants is illegal. And they put up a website called civilservicestrong.org. So there's a lot of people who are fighting using the law.
Yes, excellent, excellent. And what else can we do more on a, just in our community, like actions that we can take?
Contact our Congress people.
Yeah.
Excellent. Contact your representatives. They represent everybody,
Yes.
not just the people that agree with them.
And I will say, I believe that our Congress people's phone numbers are in the newsletter, but they're easy to find online.
Okay, great. What else can we do? Over here.
I think in that space, some of the most vulnerable are children that are facing this. So I don't know whether in the public schools or, to kind of get in there and be the friend or the advocate for those people who are being intimidated one-on-one. I don't know what avenue Carroll County has for that,
Mhm.
but I think to try to be an advocate for the people most affected at this point is important.
Okay, no, that's wonderful. She was saying in the schools, because our children are very vulnerable. Our problem here in Carroll County is that, with very few exceptions, our board members don't see it that way. And so that's also something we run up against. That's a whole other discussion. But there are avenues to take with that as well. Going to the state. The state is sick of hearing about Carroll County and the shenanigans going on here, but that means that we have to keep contacting them. So, okay, great. Anybody have any other ideas? Right here.
I just want to share this. Somebody shared an app with me, which is I find it very easy to contact my senators and representatives using it. They give you scripts, they give you subjects, and then they track it, because you can make your calls and you can tell the app if you've reached somebody or you left a voicemail or whatever you did. But it's a very organized app. It's called 5 Calls. And if anybody wants to see me afterwards, you can look at it with me, or if you're not familiar with it, but it's a very useful way to sit
Thank you.
down and make multiple calls to your senators and representatives.
5 calls?
We're actually going to cover it. It's called 5calls.org. If I get tired, do you want to come up?
I was just going to say, speak up, speak out if you see something, if you see someone harassing someone, or just say something right then. Fight back right then.
Absolutely. And boycotting, absolutely. There's economic pressure that can be applied.
I say educate yourself and others. I work for University of Maryland's Environmental Justice Lab. You do not know what is going on in your communities until you educate yourselves and those around you.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I was going to throw in I read Robert Reich and Heather Cox Richardson every day, and because I'm finding that I need to boycott the newspapers that have been my life's blood my whole life, they're filling that void in a great way, and I'm sure we all have a favorite people, and you'll get to that. Anybody else?
Anyone else?
I think just being visible in our county, wearing signs of support, because especially here, there's a lot of people that are very quiet because they feel like they have to move.
Exactly. Perfect.
What she said.
I know.
Being visible
Oh,
in
there
the
you go.
community.
Being visible. Yeah, wear t-shirts that have messaging on them. Wear buttons. I have my now button, my ERA button, and I get asked all the time, oh, they're still around? Like, it does, it provokes conversations, and that's what we want. So we can lobby our state legislators, like travel down to Annapolis.
And I've been making donations, most recently Hakeem Jeffries and Bernie Sanders, and some others, local folks as well, but I get them through the email, so
Perfect.
to support them.
Perfect. Write letters to the editor. I mean, I think those are so impactful. And we have Mr. Scanlon here who's really, really good at doing that. He's
I had one in Sunday, but if nobody knows that, it shows how many people read the Carroll County Times.
Speak to the media. Like when a lot of these now, like protests and rallies that are being planned in the community, the organizers are contacting the media and inviting them, and they're coming. So if you feel comfortable, talk to them. Give them your story. A person's human experience, your story is going to go farther than just blurting out a bunch of facts, data. It's like, there's a term like facts tell, stories sell, and that's true. So if you're willing to share your story, how everything is affecting you personally or your family, that makes a huge difference, and also might turn some people's objective a little bit. Okay, next slide. Okay, the next one is defend civic institutions. What are some of our national and local civic institutions?
Libraries.
That's a good one. Library, what else?
Education.
Schools, absolutely.
Healthcare,
Healthcare,
hospitals.
yes. Hospitals, how about veterans groups?
Definitely. Senior center.
Senior center, absolutely.
The health department.
Health department. Our election boards. Our places of worship. And so how do we defend those? It's a little different than defending people. You're trying to defend an institution. How do you do it?
I can speak to the Board of Elections. You come to the meeting, you observe, you stay involved.
Perfect.
Rita? We discussed.
Well, my experience in Carroll County is showing up to the budget hearings, because that's when a lot of things go down. And if people aren't there to represent those institutions, the people that work in those institutions are there, but they get summarily dismissed because, it looks like they're just advocating for themselves. So I think if you go in as a taxpayer, is it on? I'll just yell. If you go in as a taxpayer, they can't really shut you down. You get your 3 minutes, and I think that speaks, they can't.
I love
Can't
that.
do it, so.
I love that. Going to the commissioners' meetings.
Especially budget hearings.
Especially, yeah, the budget, exactly, because what she was saying was, if you're there representing an institution, they're thinking, oh, well, you're just, trying to guard your self-interest. But you're there as a taxpayer, they have to listen to you whether they want to or not. And the testimony period is 3 minutes? Is it like the Board of Ed where you get 3 minutes for oral comment? So,
I was going to add, the Board of Education, there's a monthly meeting, there is public comment. And you get 3 minutes to speak, so that's a great way to, and you can submit them in writing.
yeah, absolutely. It's important that we use every avenue that we have available to us to have our voices heard. So, and also I'll just plug one more thing in here, and then we'll go to the back here. In addition to Board of Education, if you've heard all the hoopla about like the health curriculum in the schools, there is a committee, the Family Life Committee, that meets 4 times a year. Those meetings are open, and now, because we kind of made a stink about it, they're recorded. We were told when we went to a meeting we were not allowed to record it. And we were even showing them like the law that says if it's an open meeting it can be recorded, and weren't allowed to, but now you can record them, and they record them as well. They're very informative because they fly under the radar with what they're doing there.
Maria, one more comment over
Sure.
Oh, I was just going to chime in. You're talking about local boards. You can also sue them when they violate local rights. And Neil Ridgel and I sued the Board of Commissioners about 10 years ago and forced them to back down and got a federal court injunction forcing them to stop shoving sectarian prayers down everybody's throats.
There you go.
Thank you for that.
Okay, and I think you already mentioned that Civil Service Strong, that's a great resource for civil servants. And veterans, your resource is Secure Families Initiative. Those are really good resources for those two groups.
We do have a veterans group here in the county, though, that's created maybe 2 years ago.
Great.
And it's very active. Don't ask me that.
I was just gonna say, do you know the name? Okay, that's okay. We'll look for it. We'll look for it and update it.
The Veterans Independence Project.
Thank you. Veterans Independence Project. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, next screen. This is my favorite one.
Oh, we have one more. We have one more comment.
With all the cuts that are coming out right now, for those who are in the have side of it or have the money, try to open your wallet and give not just, I mean, obviously ACLU and all the legal part of it, but also your community, whether it's your churches that are supporting drug rehabilitation, all the areas that support people who are vulnerable, where the funds are getting cut into your local, whether a lot of churches help out. I know like during COVID, Grace Lutheran was doing a lot of the collecting of the food with the food bank. The food bank and all those more people, especially the federal workers being cut right now, are going to have needs. So if you're on the side of the haves, try to open up your wallet a little bit more than usual.
I love that. Thank you for that. Yeah, mutual aid. Mutual aid is very important in communities because you never know when you're going to be on the other end and you need it. So when, like this lady is saying, when you have the ability and capacity, please do it. And then it'll be there for you if you ever need it. Is there someone in?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Oh, right here.
This reminded me of one other thing. You're going to find out what my interests are if you don't know. But when there's hard times, people give up their pets. And it just tears at my heart. And I've seen it happen before with COVID and other times. So the Carroll County Humane Society is another place to support. Or contribute even food, because they do have a whole little garage where they have free food, free pet food.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. That's heartbreaking. I can't imagine giving away my two little puggles. Okay. Now we're on my favorites. My favorite. Disrupt and disobey. I know that. From the time we're little children, we are told to obey. Listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, and people in positions of authority. So it's hard for some people to kind of break out of that, but it's okay. I give you permission. Just disobey, because when something is not right, it's not just, it's not constitutional, that, to me, gloves are off at that point. So this goes beyond just protesting for better policies. We need people to intervene to stop the bad policies. So it's more of a like proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. And some of the actions are very fierce, in your face, and some are very quiet. Like I said at the beginning, there's something for everybody. So, how do we, let's start with disrupt. How do you think we disrupt bad policy?
March.
March.
send our 5 bullets even if we aren't in the federal workforce.
There you go. I love it. I love it.
Can you repeat that, Maria?
Send your 5 bullet point email even if you're not in the federal government. Awesome. Yeah, Department of Education also posted one of those nice little like tattletale teacher things, and people are getting very creative in what they respond there as well.
You can send letters to President Elon.
Yeah, we know where to find him. What else do we do to disrupt?
Boycott.
Boycott, absolutely. Just as important as it is for us to donate to organizations that are doing good work, it's good to withhold your money from places that aren't doing. If you're not aligned.
Flash mobs at Tesla dealership.
There are a couple people in this room that have been to the Tesla dealership.
Flash mobs
No,
at
we
Tesla joints.
Right.
Where is there the closest?
Owings Mills, yeah. There have been a few rallies there too, recently. And
easy on Tesla owners who maybe have had them for quite a while.
exactly,
And can't afford to replace them.
exactly, I know.
Stickers that say, I got this before I.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So that those Tesla owners need a sticker that says, I bought this before I knew. I love that.
Create that.
Over here.
Another way to, effective way for local government to, I mean, at all levels, is if there's something that's wrong, you have the right to request public information requests. And I think that that is an effective way sometimes to slow down action that would be particularly harmful. So they have to provide you with the opportunity to review the information that they have. And I think, that locally can be very effective in.
She's saying that,
Yeah,
people
go ahead.
can't hear.
Yeah.
She's saying that we can request file public information acts, and request information and stay on top of things. I just have one caveat here.
They don't obey the law.
Well, the other side does it just to cause wreak havoc on our hardworking public employees, and it's happened at the Board of Elections repeatedly. So we need to make sure that we're impacting the people that are in the wrong and not hardworking public employees who all of a sudden have to stop what they're doing and print off 5,000 pages. But yeah, stay on top.
I mean, that's really with any organization, a governmental organization, if it kicks in a Freedom of Information Act, you're tying up staff for days.
You are, but sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
If something's going forward, you need to stop
yeah.
it. And
I agree that used judiciously, but I'm a frequent flyer PIA person. I mean, I send them when I need the information. And I think the people that are pulling that information understand that. They understand that it's not probably the most fun thing in the world for them to do, but it's important, and important for us to be able to see everything that's going on, because we can't have eyes everywhere. So.
And I will just make, as on the federal side, sometimes a lot of federal state agencies, there are plenty of people that know something is not right, but they can't do it. They're relying on Don Q Public to make that request. And so sometimes you can work with them to make a very pointed request, and then it isn't particularly disruptive.
It's locally that they use this to disrupt.
In the back.
If ICE shows up, you know nothing. You don't know them, you know nothing.
Excellent. If ICE shows up at your place of work or anywhere, no, you don't, because you're not required to talk to them. And I think we've seen really great examples of that across the country. Teachers protecting kids, not allowing them into the schools. And I think that it takes courage to do that. It really does, because we are ingrained to listen to authority. But no, not in those instances. That's you get a pass.
Just a real quickie, because it's relating to this. I just finished a book. It's called Defy by Sunita Sah, S-A-H. And the whole premise of the book is we've been trained all our life to just go along, get along, not speak up. And for me, this book was a big help because it said, how can you speak up productively?
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
a good
What's the name of the book again?
Defy, D-E-F-Y.
Defy, D-E-F-Y. And the last name of the author is Saw, S-A-H?
S-A-H.
Okay, yeah, because she's right. Like we are taught because I think as a society, we want to be polite, we want to be nice, but there's a time for nice, and then there's a time for okay, let's get done what needs to get done. Especially women. Women are. I mean, it's just part of raising a girl. So I'm happy to see that the current generation of moms, myself included, are raising girls that have titanium spines. I mean, you're not getting anything by my 15-year-old, anything. She knows her rights, and she knows how to advocate for herself. And so that's what we need more of. Okay, anybody else have a disrupt before we move on?
I just wanted to talk about standing up for yourself. We campaigned this last cycle, and we had a man show up. He was a foot taller than me. He was probably 20 years older than me, and he was screaming at voters, where voters were actually afraid. We knew the law, and we had it on our phone, and we used it, and the man was removed by the sheriff's department. So you can disobey and disrupt by knowing the law and not being afraid. And we have it all on videotape. And just stand your guns. I am a tiny little woman, and I held my own. I had the man removed. So,
Excellent.
Excellent.
That deserves a round of applause. I know, I heard those. Yeah, it can get a little tense out there.
Oh, I was just going to say that a way to practice not complying that's actually very useful. This is something I learned at a training recently is like opting out of biometric collection, information collection, like at TSA and things like that. Or just situations where they're wanting to take your photo, to catalog who you're traveling with and when and what that, and a lot of times that is actually an optional process, but it's very uncomfortable to opt out of, so it's good to kind of stretch those non-compliance muscles and also keep your information more private.
I love that. Did everyone hear that? Like the optional information that we're asked for every single day. Don't give it. Don't give it to them. Simple as that. And that's something that you don't particularly need to be, assertive to do. So now, excellent examples of disruption. Disobey. How many of you have heard the term don't obey in advance? Excellent. Who can tell me what that means? Anyone?
You don't say okay.
Well, I just had that conversation with my staff with the
Rita,
5
Rita,
points.
let me bring you the microphone.
Sorry.
Because they really do want to hear you.
Well, I mean, I think we're living this now as a federal employee where there's a lot of things coming down. And I'm training, my staff, just because you're told, don't jump at this opportunity to do anything. It could be used against you. So I think that's, we all have to stick together. I think the key is to take a breath and stick together before you do anything, which, I mean, this is different times, right? So, but I think that we're getting a really fast lesson in that type of disruptive, people trying to disrupt our lives.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, here again, I mean, this is a time which none of us have ever really had to move through, or most of us haven't anyway. So, don't obey in advance. Do you have a comment about that?
The great historian Timothy Snyder says all the time that the main reason why the good Germans let the autocratic tyrants take over is because they obey in advance, mainly out of fear.
Right.
That's a major societal problem, and that people as a whole have to unite and be conscious and
stand up.
Excellent, excellent. What do you think about people that don't vote? Do you think they're obeying in advance?
Yes.
What about letting candidates run uncontested?
Yes.
So I'm gonna put a plug in here.
I know how to set you up.
So the candidate recruitment committee is meeting at the end of this month, and our goal, and we have done it in the past, but we haven't done it for way too long, we need somebody running for every single seat. And we need about 30 people. There's a lot of seats open this time, besides the municipalities that are coming up in just a couple months, but I'm talking now about 2026. So if you have ever thought, even in your wildest dreams, about running for an office, or you know somebody that's thought about it, please give me your name before you leave, please.
Can you let us know what the specific positions are available?
If you go to the Board of Elections website,
Okay.
like I said, there are about 30 seats. We are talking about the 5 commissioners, the 5 delegates, we have 2 state senators, we have Board of Education, we have a state's attorney, we have a sheriff, we have, it goes on and on.
Right,
But
Thank you.
I can direct you to the Board of Education if anybody wants to, Board of Elections website if anybody wants to reach out to me.
Excellent. I love hearing that, because and I get it. I mean, you think, oh, why bother? But no, you never know who is going to be listening when you run for office. You never know who's out there that you could be reaching. And I understand people aren't excited about, doing things with foregone conclusions, but just change your mindset. I really think anything is possible, especially now we're in an upside down world. So I'm gonna cling on to that anything is possible. So let's not let any of those opportunities go by us. And I'm sure all of you have either seen videos or read about last week the nation's governors met in DC. And the governor of the great state of Maine, Janet Mills, I just found out today, she's a former prosecutor. She was the Attorney General of Maine. So the woman kind of knows her stuff. And so when she says, see you in court, in response to, you must comply, I called that a master class in disobedience. And so, none of us will ever have that opportunity. But I would bet that most of us would rise to the occasion if we did. Okay, so now, next slide, please. We go on to build alternatives. So it's not enough to just react. We have to build our own power. We have to build it the way we want it. And so what are some ways that we can build alternatives to what is going on right now?
There's 3 open seats coming up in Congress, 2 in Florida and 1 in New York, and we should be contributing to them if we can get more seats in the House.
Exactly. What Janine was saying is the open seats in the House, even though they're not in Maryland, there are 2 in Texas or Florida, and then 1 in New York. That if you're able to donate to those campaigns, because we're close, and we could make a huge difference just by pushing them over.
We could just do fundraisers. It wouldn't have to be someone individually giving. It could be a fundraiser that gives a lot of notice and attention to what's being done.
Go ahead. Oh, absolutely. That she was suggesting doing fundraisers for these either, were you saying candidates or for different actions, or either? Like hold a fundraiser.
I donate to
Okay, yeah.
And it isn't always specified as to what they're gonna use it for. Sometimes it is, and if there's a way to guide it in that direction, it would be great.
Okay, she's saying if you donate to Act Blue, sometimes you can direct your donation to wherever you feel
But yeah,
it's
if you
best.
go to that candidate's website, they'll use that.
Oh, yeah.
But it will go to that candidate. You don't have to go through that. You can go.
Directly to the candidates' websites to donate. Oh, there's a man in back, and then I'll come right back to you.
I was gonna say, when you say build alternatives, I think we need to build an alternative communication
Yes.
ecosystem in the U.S. right now. It's been co-opted by the right with the podcasting, and it's very inexpensive, which is making it very effective for people to be able to speak to the nation in a way that is just despicable. And so we have to take that back, and we have to learn how to do it, because I can tell you right now, I've been on the GOP's website, and they are doing trainings on how to do this right now. This is what they are doing. So
Yeah.
we need to get very active in taking back that ecosystem and rebuilding that.
I love that. Go ahead. Go ahead front, and then we'll go back.
All right.
I was just going to say, if you spend time online, the way that social media channels get popularity is through asking for a subscription, asking people to comment, and asking people to like. So if you see an ethic that you agree with, an organization that you agree with, anything that you agree with, like it, subscribe to it, follow it, comment on it, because that's how the algorithm works. And if we open our voices more, we can dominate social media the way they have for the last 8 years.
Excellent point.
The opposite is true. If you don't agree with it, don't engage with it. Because when you're arguing with them, you're spiking their content in the algorithm. Just let it go.
Remove it from your feed.
Yeah.
Okay, right up front.
I was just going to say, Elon has given like $1 million. There's a Wisconsin judge, Supreme Court judge, and I'm not sure of her name, but I'm sure you could find out and give a donation to her.
Susan Crawford.
Susan Crawford.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else on building alternatives?
Do you need the mic, or is it just I can? Sure. You know me, I can. One of the things that I found in my business when I was as an engineer and in business is that we've been siloed so much. And one of the things that we need to do, and I went through some things with some people who know me closely, with some health organizational issues with like drug abuse, eating disorders. One of the things that is there are tons and tons of groups, but they're all working individually. We have to create a collaborative network that brings us together.
How about that? It's as if you crawled right in my head. We're doing that. We're doing that here in Carroll County. And we already had a launch meeting, and we're doing it. So we started with 25 different organizations represented, and we're going to keep growing it. And
we also need to step outside our block and get into the networks across. Like we'll see, I have stuff that comes in from Frederick County and everybody else. So not just keep within your group, but we need to keep branching out and gathering together.
oh, I totally agree. And that's probably, a future growth, because there's definitely many more like-minded people out there that we can.
Together we stand.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
This just really goes along with the comment that she made, but I'll just add to it that I feel as Democrats we need to get really, really clear on our vision. What is the alternative? I will tell you, Republicans are so clear. I have been shocked at how united they are on the things that I thought would be the most controversial things in the world. Supporting Putin. How are Republicans suddenly all on board with this? I started reading Project 2025. I've heard about it. But I said, I have to know what is happening. The Heritage Foundation is the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
And we need our alternate version of a plan for the next 4 years to come back, equivalent to the power that they created. And I mean, it's insane to read how intricate their plan was and how it united the entire Republican Party. And also created a system to build up people. They have webinars where they teach people basically how to be the ideal Republican and their vision of being a Republican.
Absolutely.
And we have to have a clear vision equivalent to theirs. We can't be divided.
Absolutely. That is one thing. I'm glad you're all sitting down. I'm a Republican. I'm a lifelong Republican. Fiscal conservative, always been liberal on social issues until they basically threw me out because I didn't recognize the party anymore, and because we're not allowed to be liberal on social issues. Apparently, it's out of style to care about people. So what this young lady is saying is absolutely true. The GOP knows how to organize, and they're a machine. And the Heritage Foundation is dangerous. I don't know any other word to use. They've infiltrated everything. If you hear like the talk about like charter schools, and it's the classical charter schools.
There it is. I'm trying to do research on the enemy.
Thank you.
Battle for the American mind. There it is.
And they're getting their curriculum.
Go right and buy it. It's from the library. I would not.
That's good. That's good. If you're going to do some, counter intel, don't buy the book. Just borrow it. But yeah, like the curriculum in South Carolina, they started a charter school, and it was, I'm not going to remember it's the college, the Hillsdale College. It's their curriculum that they're using. And so this is something, keep your ears open, because we're going to be hearing about a charter school right here in Carroll County. It's classical education, which is just, another word for Christian nationalism. I don't know. We'll see.
Maria commented.
Go ahead.
Oh, just in response to the comment that Democrats need to get a vision of the message, I want to point out that there has been, on a more national level, some Democrats trying to pander to the moderate and try to look like a Republican light and try to abandon a lot of marginalized groups in the process. And I just want to say, as a transgender person, I was very disappointed. Specifically, there was a legislator who was recorded saying, oh yeah, I'm going to vote against trans health care even though I'm a Democrat because that's what I need to get reelected.
Wow.
And I just really want to make sure that, when we as a community are trying to find what that rebrand looks like, to not throw the most vulnerable under the bus to try to stay afloat.
Exactly. Okay.
One more comment and then
One more comment.
Yeah, I just have why can't I make it work? Okay. The comment with the communication, I think that really resonated with me, to have one central communication. But I think there's an inherent problem that the Democrats have. So if you are attracting people who disobey, who are going to stick up for their rights or whatever, it is going to be harder to unify that group, right? So in terms of communicating and bringing people to unify, there does probably have to be some priority. I think one of the attractiveness of an authoritarian regime, whatever it is it makes it very simple for people to just have faith. And I think we're living in an age where people are definitely overwhelmed by the amount of information that's being thrown at them from every direction. Yeah. So I'm looking, I don't have any answers, but just to figure out how we're going to address that. I think it's a very real problem. And I see it all the time. We're all frustrated, but if we keep prioritizing just what's important to us, I think it's a losing strategy.
Right.
We're going to have to give somewhere.
You're absolutely right. Everybody will get their turn to defend what is nearest and dearest to their heart, but it has to be collaborative, or it's not going to work. And just one last comment on this, education. Education is so important. Educating ourselves, educating our family members, if you have some difficult family members, people within our community. And I don't know, is there anybody here, League of Women Voters? Yay. I want to give a little shout out, I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, because that is their secret sauce, is educating. And so if we can borrow some framework from them, I think that we could really make a dent in that education deficit that we're kind of in right now. And I know that they're working, I was just speaking with Cheryl, who heads up the Carroll County chapter, and she said that they're launching a multi-year initiative to educate the country about why we should not have the Electoral College anymore. And it is going to take a lot. It's going to be a heavy lift, but I think that we can definitely learn a lot from how this group approaches that, and then apply it to other things. It's just, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can just sort of find something that works and duplicate it for whatever our efforts, our purposes are. Okay, next slide, please. Sorry, Mark. Communication. Communication is key, and we already hit on one of these, the 5 calls. So essentially, you just put in your zip code, and it'll bring up your representatives, their contact numbers, and then it'll also give you a list of issues. So you just click on whatever issue is really, really bothering you at that moment, and it'll give you a complete script, so that when you call your representative's office, you have a script of what to say. And so I want to ask, who has been contacting by phone their representatives' offices? Excellent, excellent. Who is getting through to a human being? Excellent. Okay, Jessica's having a not moderate success. Would anybody like to share their experience? Right over here.
Johnny O's office has been open a lot longer than the senator's offices, so I'm usually able to talk to someone from Johnny O's office, which is great. They've all been really lovely humans. I usually start off my conversation saying thank you, because they're going through a lot right now. And they appreciate hearing a thank you, because I know that they've really been working on, what we've been working on. So, but yeah, 5 calls is great. You guys should all do it, please. Thank you.
Excellent. And in calling someone who we agree with is excellent, and always politeness, gratitude, always. And that applies even if you're calling Justin Reddy's office. You won't have the same experience, I don't believe, that this young lady had, but thank them. I mean, still thank them for their time. Has anybody tried calling a GOP members?
Mike Johnson, no return call.
Oh.
Sorry.
So I've got a funny story, local. I had 2 issues I wanted to go over with some of my local representatives. And so one was the health department brouhaha over Bob Wack. And the second one was not so much an issue, but budgetary cuts to the Agricultural Preservation Foundation. So both of these things are very near and dear to my heart. So I called, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, okay? And I'm out of the closet and everything. And so I called my particular branch of government, and I did not get through to the delegate, but I got through to Chris West's office. And I said, okay, I've got 2 things I want to talk about. The guy was very pleasant that I spoke with. And I said, okay, the first one is big old no on that health department bill. And he kind of chuckled a little bit. And I said, yep, I'm a progressive. And now I'm going to blow your mind, because I want my ag preservation program maintained, which is traditionally a conservative kind of skew. but I'm a 4-H'er, you know, so that's near and dear to my heart, and I also work with a lot of farmers. So he chuckled again, and he said, I said, yeah, I'm a unicorn. I'm a liberal, but I also support my farmers. And he said, they were doing some outreach work up in Carroll at some point with the senator, and he said, I saw this, they were on some parking lot somewhere, and he said, I saw this Subaru with a bumper sticker on it that said something like bravery as being a Carroll County Democrat, and I said, yeah, that could have been my car. That's right, we do exist. But you know, the fact that I was able to connect with him, we had a little chuckle, we had a little moment. Yes. Now, who knows what his personal politics are, but I have to believe he's probably, you know, skews much farther right than I do. But those moments where you have an opportunity to connect with someone who doesn't necessarily believe everything you believe are every bit, maybe even more important than when you're, you know, you're a band of brothers.
Right.
So.
No, excellent point. I think that it's important that we find ways that we agree. I mean, there aren't going to be many, but there are a few.
And we have lots of bumper stickers left. I should have brought them tonight.
I've been calling Andy Harris.
Oh.
He doesn't care to hear from me. I speak to a young lady every time. All 3 different numbers, I've called all 3 different offices and gotten the same lady. She's very sweet. I'm not in his district. I'm not a Republican. And it's just mainly asking for town halls. When are you going to have a town hall? Let's have a town hall. And I'll put you on our list.
Yeah.
You're very polite, but...
Yeah, I think they're hiding. I don't think anyone's ever town hall around
I
here.
received a phone call from him before to join
I'm
one
going
of
to
his
get this
things.
person and then I'm going to let Maggie talk because she might have a word or two to say about all this.
Hello. You can also go in person. I've been down to Annapolis and seen like Justin Reddy. At the time, it was before asking for something from him, so sometimes keeping that relationship that's like, hey, I'm not gonna come in here and yell at you, and maybe creating like a relationship like, I see that you like boats, talk about boats, and then being like, so this thing, hey.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you can go in person. It's kind of a trip, but Annapolis is cute.
Excellent, I love that.
I just wanted to mention a couple of things in case anybody in this room is like me and hates to make phone calls. I also use 5 calls. It makes it easy, although I have my own little list of things. But I call after hours because I work during the day, and so I've just gotten voicemail and left a voicemail. And so that's a lot easier than talking to somebody. Maybe not as effective, but however, we had our son worked in Van Hollen's office a year ago and was an intern, and one of his jobs was to come in the morning and listen to all the voicemails and mark down how many people talked about this and that and the other thing. So I know they count. So just if you're like me and you don't feel like calling and talking to a person, call later at night when you're sitting on your couch with your cat and you got your 5 calls app open and make your phone calls, and it will still count.
Yeah, just call before you have a few glasses of wine.
So you can make some clear points.
Geez, you're out.
I'm on the board of an advocacy group. We found that having a PAC, people listen to you a lot better. So if there's a way to do that and have money that we can give to people, then they take your phone calls and they'll listen to you.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so I don't think Marty Hankins is here tonight, but Marty shared something really wonderful on her Facebook page about communicating with our justices, SCOTUS. So if you go to peoplepowerhub.org, they give you postcards that you can print out and then write whatever you want. They also give you letter templates, and they give you all the information of where to mail these. So it's called peoplepowerhub.org. Yeah, they're right on the screen. They might be a little small. And also I have handouts here on these front tables and my cards as well, so if anybody wants to get in touch with me directly, yeah,
Maria
you're
Neal
welcome
has
to.
a comment. Is it org?
Yeah.
It is. The G's just missing.
So calling is important, but don't discount emails.
and I write passionately, so in order to tone myself down, I rely on AI. So I basically put what I want to say in. I let it spit out something that's like calm and makes sense and logical. I'll clean it up a little bit and I'll send it out. And I do that a lot. And you know, you might get a form email back like I did with the commissioners, but the point is that they see that you're sending emails. We had an email writing campaign for a group I'm part of when the library funding was being threatened, and literally in one day the commissioners got almost 400 emails. Wow. It made an impact. They got funded. So
Excellent. And I'm a big proponent of writing it one day and sleeping on it before you hit submit. Yeah, that works. Just saying.
Also, I read recently the attorney generals in some of the western states, I think Arizona and some out west, have decided to start doing what they're calling community impact hearings. So they're doing, attorney generals are doing town halls. And they want to talk about the impact of the federal firings and the funding freezes. So I thought it'd be fantastic if we all contact our attorney general, Anthony Brown, and ask if he would be willing to do something like that here. I mean, we're very affected by this, probably more than most states. So I did put his Maryland Attorney General .gov, I believe it is. Oh, the gov got cut off. Sorry about that. But if you just go and go to his website and fill out like a contact form, or if you would rather call, just call. I think that would be something that we could do as far like a call to action. And finally, before we move on, legislative session is still happening. So make your voice heard. Oral testimony, if you want to go down and give in-person testimony, do it. It's important. It's important now more than ever that we let our elected officials know where we stand.
They do virtual too. If you don't want to go in person, you can do it virtually as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. They do it virtually as well.
But you have to sign up more than 24 hours in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, the schedule is on the website.
Yeah, you have to sign up 2 days before the hearing. So if it's a Tuesday hearing, that's the Friday before, and you can submit written testimony, but also 2 days prior.
Yes.
Everybody get that? You have to sign up 2 days before.
2 days before. If you go to the MGA, LEG, whatever, it'll give you everything. All the there's a lot of there's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
You have to find the committee that the bill is in, and then find when they're meeting, and then you have to sign up 2 days prior if you want to give testimony in person, like oral or virtual. So, okay. Next screen, please. All right, now we're going to get into economic means of resistance. So, who's become more intentional about where they're spending their money? You make my heart happy. So, who participated in Friday's blackout? Excellent.
I'm shop there anyway, but.
These are just on the screen. You'll see the upcoming ones. So if you want to just take note of that. So do boycotts work? Sure.
I mean, I'm making notes, but are you going to provide all of this in writing?
Yeah, I can provide a PDF of the slides to whoever wants it. Just
would it be okay if I just sent one, so not as a blast?
There you
okay,
go.
What I'll do is I will just take this entire presentation and stick it in and send it out as a blast to the club.
Then you'll have it.
To the newsletter list. So if you're
And if you signed up today, you'll get it.
It's also, I'm recording this for YouTube, so what I'm going to do once I post it, all the links for everything in the presentation will be in YouTube, and if you have a link for the presentation, I'll put that in there too. So it'll be on the Democratic Club YouTube channel, probably by the end of the week.
Dorothy has an app, Goods Unite.
Goods Unite Us.
Oh, yes.
No. So it has an amazing number of companies on it, and it rates where they spend their money politically.
Perfect.
So like, I don't know what this is, but hang on.
What's it called?
Goods unite us.
G-O-O-D.
So like
Unite us.
A&W restaurants, 72% of their money goes to Republicans. Bye-bye. Yep, exactly.
Who's this?
Okay, everybody got that?
Goods unite us.
Goods unite us.
I was going to say we should boycott Nestle every single day. It's a nasty company. However, you have to check to see what other product names they had, because I was lovingly eating Haagen-Dazs all these years, and I finally looked, and it's Nestle. So I've given up the Haagen-Dazs.
Oh. Okay, so I want to, we only have 15 minutes left, so I kind of want to power through here. So if you're wondering if boycotts work, let's use it as a test case Target. Target on January 24th announced they were rolling back their $2 billion initiative to partner with black-owned businesses. Since January 24th, store traffic is down 10%, according to Forbes. Stock price is down 9.13%. And they are being sued by a class action of their investors because they did not disclose the financial risk of eliminating DEI efforts. Wow. So, sorry, Target. Okay, calling all candidates. We kind of already talked about all this. Where do you like looking out into your circle? Get in touch with Kareem and members of the Central Committee. When you see people that you think would make a good candidate, talk to them, ask them.
Can I just ask real fast, anybody here that's Central Committee members, stand up so people in the room know that Patrick and Tom and Neil and Gary. Okay, so talk to one of us before you leave tonight if you have any interest in running for office or joining us. You can run for Central Committee. I'm scheduled to file next week to keep my seat, maybe.
No, you're keeping it.
I think there's a question right over there. Or a comment.
What's the difference between the two committees? We have Carroll County Central, and they're both Democratic committees. Is there not two separate?
No.
It's a club and a Central Committee, and there's a legal difference between what they can do, and Corinne can explain that because I can't.
So tonight you're at the Carroll County Democratic Club.
Right.
And honestly, this is where you want to be because it's interactive and we're learning things and we're talking. The Central Committee is the manager. We run the nuts and bolts, as Julie likes to say, of the committee. So if you want to sit through a 2-hour meeting where we talk about what our website should say, come on out. But the club is much more informal. We pick programs. I'd love to hear from any of you as well on future programs. What else would you like to hear? The Central Committee is an elected body. We are a legal campaign entity. Every penny that we take in and every penny that we spend is documented on the state website. So it's just an arm of each other.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, now we touched on litigation. Now we're really going to go into it here. Who's following all these lawsuits? There's too many. It's like Pokemon, like trying to get them all. But we are already seeing some early victories. I've noted some here on the slide. Federal courts. Now you can see why President Biden was so busy appointing federal judges, as if he had a crystal ball. And you can keep updated on the progress of these legal actions at democracydocket.com. And that's right up there. Go ahead.
I was going to mention that website. My husband and I are both lawyers, and we are really pissed off about everything that's going on. And there are so many that it really is hard to keep them they're reported on the news, but it's like every day there are, you know, multiple more. And they all matter. Some more than others, but they all matter.
No, you're
And
absolutely
you can't let yourself get frustrated by getting them confused, because they
No.
matter so much.
You're right. They do. They're all important. And so that's where this is, I think, a really great resource, though, to try to keep ourselves so that you don't, you know, you're not overwhelmed trying to find the latest status on a certain piece of litigation. That last one on there is near and dear to my heart as a native New Yorker, because that's a victory for the perpetual thorn in Trump's side, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. The woman is just no quitting her. And so I loved seeing that. That was just the other day that came up, that she won.
And didn't she just resign right after that? No, that wasn't her. The woman who
Maria Jessica has a question.
had resigned after she didn't do what was asked.
That was the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Okay,
Southern
sorry.
District of New York.
Yeah.
I just want to remind folks that if you are a lawyer and you are a member of your bar association, this is a great time to get involved and hold all of your colleagues accountable to their ethics. We really need that, and it's something that only lawyers can do in addition to filing all the suits, but it's going to be really important that they know that they'll be held accountable, not just in kind of how they work in their daily lives, but also by the profession themselves.
Great, Jessica. Thank you for that reminder to all of our attorneys.
I just want to, since it's come up again, that Democracy Forward was involved in several of these lawsuits. And I just feel like, I feel really happy giving my money to them because the law is like one of the few weapons we have in this battle.
So I'm going to brag a little bit. My cousin was named DC Attorney of the Year last weekend. Wow. And he doesn't have my name, it's Jonathan Puth. If you read the Washington Post today, the court case that earned him that award was defending a transgender person who worked at a McDonald's and had a long history of abuse and settled for over $1 million. So there's a great article in the Post. I think it was in Today. But so we do win. We do win sometimes.
We celebrate.
Puth,
P-U-T-H, Jonathan Puth.
Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, well, many of us in this room are unlikely to be plaintiffs in any of these legal actions. There are ways we can play a part. I mean, I think a lot of you have already commented on it, is by supporting the organizations that are the plaintiffs in these actions. Lambda Legal is just like killing it. They're doing excellent, excellent work, working on a lot of these lawsuits, and joined by ACLU, PFLAG, and the NAACP, National Urban League. So just find what organization speaks to you, and if you can, donate to them, because I mean, these litigation costs money.
So Maria, I had a question earlier about Indivisible. Do you have information? This lady in the back wanted to know how to donate to Indivisible.
I do. Jessica was nice enough to send me the email address. So if you want to, Indivisible is a national organization. Carroll County just created a chapter. Yes. So if you would like to reach out to them to find out how to get involved, you can send an email to Indivisible, Carroll County MD, all lowercase, all together. Indivisible, Carroll County MD @gmail.com. And someone will get back to you. They're planning a lot of good stuff. So get involved. Yes?
They're also one of them who's cross-coordinating with a lot of other organizations. They have it right on the website.
Yes, absolutely.
What was it? .org?
Okay. So,
At gmail.com.
next slide.
Indivisible and the you can message them on Facebook. They got it right there.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, they have a page that you can message as well.
There is a page.
So to close tonight's discussion, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, I hope you have as well, I'd like to quote Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who recently said in his State of the State address, "Tyranny requires your fear and your silence and your compliance. Democracy requires your courage." So my hope is that everyone finds their courage to resist these attempts to destroy our democracy. Use your voice is your power. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to leave, we understand, but if we have a couple more comments.
I just want to make a plug too, and I'm not in a union. As a federal worker, I can't be, as a supervisor, to be honest with you, but I want to make another plug that for those of you that work in occupations that do have a union, they have it down in terms of having a voice at the table and how to organize. And I think this is a very important point in the country where supporting workers' rights on all of those levels, for all those things near and dear to us, they have the organization, and they've been hit over the last number of decades with a lot of mistrust. But I'm seeing a lot of energy from young people, even in corporate America, Amazon or Starbucks or whatever, where they're fighting for fundamental rights for workers. So I think if you can promote that, that's another huge organizational tool that I think we can support.
Absolutely.
And it is filtering up. So we have a few federal unions in different sectors, and they've really organized amongst themselves. They're partners with AFL-CIO, all of these other larger unions. So they already have the network established to have those communications, and they know their rights. I mean, they have legal staff and other things. So anyway, just making that
And if you want to support the local teachers union, talk to Gary.
Yes. Yes.
So, anyway.